Hello, welcome to Live and Local. I'm your host, Brian McConnell. We are here to spotlight local opportunities, events, and organizations. Today, our guest is the Executive Director of the Iowa Bicycle Coalition, Mark Wyatt.
Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for joining us. So May is National Bike Month, and this week especially is Bike to Work Week.
Right. Bicycling's huge right now. We're really excited. It's kind of exploding as we speak. And people are taking to bikes as transportation. They're finding it the best way to get around their community. It's an easy, convenient choice. Once you get over that barrier of just trying to bike to work, you find out how easy and fun it is. I don't know a lot of commuters that talk about fun on their trip to work, but bicycling puts a smile on your face, and that's what Bike to Work Week is. It gets you through the gateway. It gets you to try it 1 week, and then find out it's easy and keep doing it.
And I know, Mark, some people's perception is that it's not always safe to bike to work. Is that true? Are there truths to that?
You know, it's probably more dangerous to walk or drive than it is to bike. I mean, mile for mile, there's not very many crashes. We have, somewhere between 4 to 6 fatalities per year across the state. But driving, we have about 400 fatalities across the state. One death is too many when you have a bike crash. But, mile for mile, it's probably one of the more safe and convenient choices.
Is there something with the Iowa Bike Coalition that you're trying to do to help make it safer and easier and everything else? And if so, could you?
Yeah, one of the things that we work on is legislation at the state level. So we look at how can we strengthen laws and make sure that there's everything in place so when a crash occurs, we have proper penalties, and then we also work to teach things in driver's ed. So one of the things that we had recently is a small interpretation of the law that says you need to change lanes to pass bikes, just like you would any other vehicle. And we got the DOT to actually amend the driver's manual, put that in the driver's manual, so now when a student takes driver's ed, that's the way they learn it, is changing lanes to pass.
Wonderful. What about on an even more local level? You talk about in the springtime, whether you're driving a car or riding a bike, all the potholes and things like that. Is there anything that can be done about that, or is that just one of those?
It's one of those things you deal with as a rite of spring. The roads just kind of tend to be rougher all the time. But right now, I think, we're just kind of noticing the sand being cleared off. I know the city of Iowa City does a good job, and they try to get after making sure the street sweepers are out and doing that frequently. I think where it changes, where the game all changes, is when we start to get more trails and more bike lanes and more facilities out in our communities. That's when people are kind of felt enabled and they feel it's a safer choice for them to get out and ride.
And can you tell us a little bit about what's coming down the pike as far as the trail systems and I know there's a local plan within the next few years?
Yeah, I think it's connectivity is probably the biggest step here. I know there's a lot of different areas within the city that they're trying to connect, mostly on the on-road network, so getting bike lanes put in different places to get people up. Regionally, they're also looking to connect outward. So they just got funding, and they're just working through the plan to connect Corville to Tiffin, and that'll eventually connect to Amana, and that'll be a signature trail for the state. In addition, they're working really hard to connect North Liberty to Mahaffey Bridge, and then Mahaffey Bridge connects to Solon, Solon connects to Ely, and then we're to Cedar Rapids, and from Cedar Rapids you can go all the way to Cedar Falls. That'll be a 118-mile trail that terminates here in Iowa City. That's a great tourist attraction for this area.
And I know that we're excited for that to happen. That trip from North Liberty to Solon is beautiful, but anybody who's ridden it, it can also be dangerous until those trails get in. So
yeah, I think it'll make a big difference. Facilities are driving people out. And we're noticing that in different areas across the country. But if you build a bike lane, or even some of the new protected bike lanes, it makes a big difference in getting people from 8 years old to 80 years old out to try bicycling.
So are there people, the crazy people, riding their bikes all year round?
There are. In fact, one of the local bike shops here, World of Bikes, sells a fat tire bike. Oh, well, they all sell a fat tire bike, but you see these 4-inch wheels out, and they're a flotation tire. They're good for sand. They're good for snow. They're good for going places that you wouldn't normally go by bicycle. You don't need a trail to get there. We've even seen them decked out in camouflage with gun racks on them, so you can go out and go hunting. Yeah, it's a great. Iowa City is becoming one of the blooming places for the fat tire market, and people are really taking to it. And there's no bad weather. There's just bad gear. So if you don't have the right clothes, it might be cold, it might be wet, but if you've got the right clothes, it's a comfortable ride.
Wonderful. As far as the Bike to Work week, what else is going on?
There's bike commuter breakfasts all week, so you can look at the website, which is thinkbicycles.org, and they'll have information on there on where you can find a bike commuter breakfast. Wednesday is a big one. That's the New Pioneer Co-op ride, where they ride from Chauncey Swan downtown near the old New Pioneer Co-op out to the new one in Coralville, and that usually attracts 250, 300 people out. If the weather's good. If it rains, they move that to Thursday, and that'll be a great time. And then I believe Trumpet Blossom is hosting an event after Bike to Work Week Friday, because biking to work, you also have to bike from work at the end of the day. So being able to go home, you can go celebrate at the Trumpet Blossom and have a good time.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You've also got a great perspective on more of the national scene, and when we were talking earlier, you mentioned that Iowa may have slipped a little bit in the rankings recently.
Yeah, there's a national ranking of bike-friendly states, so we rank from 1 to 50, and we just fell to 25. We at one time were as high as 6th, and over the years they've changed the questions on the ranking and took some questions out. At the same time, some states are doing better than others, so we slipped down to 25th this year, so right in the middle.
It seems to me that bike awareness has gotten better, and it sounds interesting that we were once as high as 6th, and now we're at 25th.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with a couple policy things that are in place. It's not a lot of spending the money. It's not a lot of facilities that have to be built. This is a policy ranking. So Iowa has what they call a master bike plan that kind of governs where all the trails are going to go and how we build things in our communities. We're in the process of updating it. The plan's 13 years old, so we had to start from scratch. But it'll be finished this year, this summer. Hopefully we get it out for public comment. And that takes care of about 15 points on the 100-point scale. So we will jump back in, hopefully to the top 10 once that bike plan is completed, if no other states do it at the same time. So we're gonna go back up the rankings, which I think is going to be great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Other than that, maybe on the national or even more local, at least Iowa level, any other fun events going on?
Yeah, this is Iowa, and this is great because we're the home of Rag Ride across state.
Yeah.
So it's not too tough to find an event going on if you look all across the state. We've got a couple big ones coming up, at least with my organization, that are probably worth mentioning. We do the Bacon Ride, which is June 28th, coming up here at the end of June, about 2 months away.
Sounds right up my alley.
It's perfect. I mean, it's a caloric neutral event. People are hungry for a ride like this. We're going to feature, we partnered with the Iowa Bacon Board that puts on the Blue Ribbon Bacon Festival, and we're doing a bike ride on the Raccoon River Valley Trail. So you can find more information at baconride.org. That's BACOON, bacon and raccoon together. Baconride.com, baconride.com. And that'll give you more information on the event.
Probably Google bacon and bikes and find something.
Bacon and bikes, you'll find it. The local one here that's another great one is the Grand Gable Fonda. This comes up Labor Day weekend, August 31st. This is a 100-mile ride. It's a timed event. It brings out some competitive people, but it's more like a 10K, half marathon, where you're going for your personal best, but you're also going to enjoy yourself and complete it. There's also 25 and 60-mile options. This year, starting in Iowa City at True Blood Park, and we're going to kind of enjoy the South Flat route, and that'll be a great time.
Is this the second or third year for that?
This will be the second.
Okay, yeah.
It was the first year, and it was great turnout. We had 750 people last year. We expect probably double that this year.
Oh, wow.
We've already got 300 or so registered. Should be a good time.
Yeah. Any other good websites for finding rides? I know that my wife and I have found things on like bikeiowa.org.
The total resource for news and events is bikeiowa.com.
.com.
Yep, and Scott Sumter's the person that runs that site. And he will quickly tell you that it is crowdsourced. Everybody runs that site. So if you have, your event that you want to have 10 people at, you can put it on his event calendar. He'll publish it, get it out there, and let people know. It's a great way to get in touch with people all across the state and let people know. Also, his news feed does a great job of keeping up with what's going on. Anything that's bike related or trail related, he'll make sure he puts up there, and that really helps out communicating with everybody across the state.
Wonderful. Getting back to the Bike to Work Week a little bit, any other words of advice or things that you can say for people that either may be hesitant or some myths or misconceptions about the Bike to Work Week?
Yeah, it's easier than you think. That's probably the first one to start with, is that it's not very difficult. You need a few things. A working bike is probably your first step.
It's a good start.
A plan is probably your second step. And then a route is probably your third step. So, when I started, I lived in North Liberty, and it was about a 10-mile commute, and I was excited because it was a trail that ran from my house almost all the way to work. And the way this works is then once you start doing it, you start whittling it down. You're like, okay, well, that's 10 miles. I can cut off another 2 miles going this way or this way, and that's a lot of the fun of it. The second thing is the plan, is how you're going to carry your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky and I had a locker at work. I could leave my stuff there. My wife, on the other hand, who loves to bike to work, also had a locker, but she would get her dry cleaning delivered there to work. So she would always keep 2 or 3 outfits at work and just rotate them out when they were needed. She had an extra hair dryer at work, so just
be a little creative, a bit resourceful.
Yeah, and then if you can't leave your stuff at work, find a way to do it, whether that's a backpack. It's always easier to carry things on your bike than to carry things on your body. And then have a little bit of gear. Make sure you're comfortable with clothes to bike, clothes to change into when you get there, and a way to secure your bike while it's at your workplace. So there's plenty of bike parking racks around town. Find one that's kind of out of the elements, but secure, that nobody's going to be like stealing it from a back alley, that sort of thing.
Sure.
I was able to bring mine into work. I know university employees can't do that, but there's all kinds of ways around.
And that's just one of the obstacles I see is on my route to work. I just think about the traffic, and maybe that means leaving a little earlier or something like that, and just kind of planning ahead.
Yeah, and really kind of the way our trail system works is there are different ways to get around town. Once you start to kind of eyeball it and find different ways. I use Google quite a bit. They're actually pretty up to date for their biking directions and can show you different ways by bike than you might by car. Where I live now, I'm over in the peninsula. I work over in Coralville. It's actually longer for me to drive if I have to go up and around the interstate back down than it is to bike, and I take the Iowa River Power Bridge, and I'm right there at my workplace. So sometimes it can be easier if you do it. Just planning ahead. And every bicyclist I know are great meteorologists. They need
Sure.
the weather, make sure they know what's coming up ahead. So.
What are there things that people can do to help with either local advocacy or other things like that? Do they contact you, or is there other?
Yeah, we actually have a group called Think Bicycles of Johnson County.
Okay.
And they work on local issues. There's a core group that meets on a frequent basis. If you look at their website, thinkbicycles.org, you can find more information on what's going on in the local area. Also, Bicyclists of Iowa City is a local bike club.
Okay.
They host rides almost every day of the week during the summer months. So it's always fun. If you want to get involved, you can join that. They also have different positions, different events that they do. Everything from a rag break charter to the Courage Rides, which is a fundraiser in August, to they do the corner marshaling for the Old Capitol Criterium. So any of those things you can get involved with, they're more than happy to get volunteers in and join. They have their website, bicyclesofiowa.city.org, I believe, and you can find more information on that group too.
Wonderful. Besides that, is there anything else about the Iowa Bike Coalition you'd like to talk about? Or
Maybe one of the things that we didn't hit is the mountain biking scene. And that's another thing that's just going kind of crazy here too. We're lucky because we have probably one of the top 50 mountain bike places in the country.
Sugar Bottom.
Backyard at Sugar Bottom, and it's one of those things that I've gotten into over the past couple of years. There's a whole different world out there that you can bike. I love it because you're in this green leafy envelope and you don't see anybody or anything. The only thing I can hear is myself breathing hard as I'm going up the steep hills, or frightened as I'm going down the hills. But it's a totally different experience. It's great for all levels of bicyclists, and it's just different out there. And it gets you in touch with nature.
And it's nothing to be intimidated because there are different trails for different experience levels.
Each one's color-coded. So if you go on the green trail, you're going to be on the easier ones. You get into the blue or the black. Those are going to be more difficult as things go. So you just look at the legend as you go and follow along, and it's a great time out there.
Wonderful.
Hi, I'm Callie Brethauer in your neighborhood. May is National Bike Month, and this week is National Bike to Work Week. From bicycle races to commuter breakfasts, Iowa City is packed full of biking activities to celebrate the week. Today we're at the Coralville Public Library. The start of a bike, car, bus race that is happening today. The ending point is Iowa City Public Library, which is a near 3.5-mile distance. Let's go see what the cyclists have to say about this race moments before it happens. What made you guys decide to participate in today's race?
Well, I got asked by folks to participate, and I thought it'd be a great way to get out and get a little exercise today and demonstrate how important it is for people to move around. And I'm going to be riding the bike today, how important cycling and trails are to our community and making it a really nice place to live here in Iowa City, Coralville.
He's a heck of a bicyclist, too. Yeah, so I got recruited, too, of course, but what my task is to ride the bus. So I'm going to ride my bike over to the bus, catch the bus, take it on into town, get off, ride my bike to the library.
So what made you decide to participate this week in Bike to Work Week?
Well, the Board of Supervisors usually has a participant in it, and I haven't been able to really train for the bike park because I was actually looking forward to lobby for that, but my son was born April 17th, so that threw all of my workout plans out the window. So Chris was kind enough to allow me to use the car, which I am very competitive, but I also have a clean driving record, so it'll be great to see bike, bus, or car who's going to win. It's going to be one of those things where since I can't park in front of the library and I have to use the metered parking or the ramp, it's going to be one of those park in a mad dash to wherever the meetup place is, which I think is right in front of the Iowa City Library. So it might be one of those things where I drive and run.
Have you guys practiced at all for this? Prepared for the race, or?
Doing a little bit of riding. I can't say I've practiced. I have looked. I know the route this year, so I hope I hope the bike always wins, and I hope that the tailwind helps today.
Have you prepared at all for this? Have you been practicing on your ride to work at all? And are you going to be obeying the speed limit, maybe going a tad over?
Yes, no, I will be obeying all speed laws as I do not like paying extra for my vehicles via insurance because of tickets and that nature, as well as I want to make sure I'm safe on the road and other drivers can count on my abilities as a driver.
So have you done the race before in past years?
I've done it one other time. I rode the bike, 6 or 7 years ago, and actually came in second, and I'm still suffering from that. I'm like, it was so hard to get over that. So I've got something to prove today.
So you were the winner just by a hair, so how does it feel?
It feels good. We had a nice race today to show how transit and bicycling can help you get around the community and stay in good shape, and it's a nice day to be out for a ride.
So about what was your time then?
I think I got over here in about 12 minutes or so. Again, I had a nice tailwind for part of the ride and got a few lights going my direction, so that was helpful, and just pedaled as hard as I could.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive too, because it's about 3.5 miles, isn't it?
I didn't know what the
Because I looked it up and it said 3.5 miles. I was like, wow, that's kind of a distance for a race.
It is. It's a nice day to be out though. It's sunny out, and it's a good cause to encourage people to get out and ride more and enjoy nature.
Yeah, you guys definitely blew the bus out of the water because it's not even here yet.
Well, I hope Jim gets here soon.
So the race just finished and you lost by a tad hair, it sounds like. So how does that feel?
It's fine. I mean, I guess all depends on it. People talk about what do you consider losing. To me, the biggest loss isn't actually losing the race. The biggest loss is I actually paid for gas to get here and paid a meter. So, and I didn't work anything in particular. So guess what? He gets to go have a burger or whatever, and I, have to still do my workout later. So it's all in, keeping a healthy lifestyle. Biking is a big part of it, or can be a big part of it, depending on what a person's preference is. So I got to my meter before he got here. If I had sprinted down here, I would have beat him by a tad. But yeah,
sprints after they drive,
Speaking of sprinting, here's the bus.
Oh, here's the bus guy.
We had a good time. Took us 24 minutes though. We gave it our best shot.
That's good. Well, you still rode your bike here from the bus stop, so you got a little biking in there.
That's right. Yeah, and I put everything I had into it. You saw me coming down the road there. I was going as fast as I could, without breaking any laws or anything.
So any anger towards the bus driver for being late or and making you lose so badly,
No, nobody was angry about anything. We had a good old time.
Well, it sounds good, and I'm glad, it does show that biking is the best way to go for Iowa City citizens, to get out there and bike more. And
It is amazing how easily you can get around town on a bicycle and how you can go from a place like Coralville to here more quickly than you can in a car. I mean, it really is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I would encourage people to bike more, walk more, because you can really actually start noticing actually the beauty of the city when you actually aren't just going by it in your car. So I really enjoy that aspect of biking as well. If I'm around next year, I will hopefully be shooting for the bike part of this and win.
what a thrilling event here in Iowa City. Be sure to check out thinkbicycles.org to see what other events are happening here in Iowa City for Bike to Work Week. And thank you for watching today. I'm Callie Bretthauer in your neighborhood on your neighborhood network, PATV Channel 18.